Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, head of NRL Supercoach Round 12, proudly brought to you by Mortgage Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams, and the major buy period has arrived and it has not failed to disappoint. The hardest period of the NRL Supercoach season, just in time for it. We've had injuries here, we've had shock origin selections. It's going to be tough, I'm not going to lie, but here to help you through it, the Spy. How are you, mate?
Fellas, bit of energy today, actually. Had a run around at lunch, which was nice. Got the endorphins flowing, and on the back of the Supercoach momentum, fired up, as always.
You have come in with a kick in the step, mate, figuratively and physically. You were playing a bit of soccer at lunch, your Supercoach side's flying, you're up and about.
Yeah, going well. Freshened up after Magic Round helps as well. A couple of somewhat quiet weekends.
Took you 3 weeks, but you're back to life.
Yeah, it only took 2 days, actually. It was probably my best ever recovery, but not quite. Wasn't quite as this good, the Tuesday of Magic Round. But yeah, 12.65 last weekend, boys. I was very unsure of skipper, but I was very confident I wanted to roll that VC option with one of the attacking boys into a Haas May, and I'm obviously of the weeks to do it. That was the one to go for it with Drinky and Pappy not going well, and then I couldn't decide between Haas and May. There were so many different conflicting options and ended up going with Terrell May, which was obviously bloody fantastic, and it's easy in hindsight to go, oh, of course this was coming, but you know, you never quite know, do you? But into the top 1% now, which is often my first target on that little percentage board, and then next stop, hopefully top 1,000. But I'm actually sitting, you'll like this, 182.
Ooh.
4, so after blink 182, and actually had them firing up in the car on the way in, so that's another reason I'm going all right. I also have a real good story from Oztag last Tuesday night about me absolutely firing up.
We'll get to you soon, Desi. All good. Keep going, Spot.
But told you I was fired. But that's going to have to wait for the Adults Only podcast or ask me at the pub. Desi, how you going?
I'm good.
Sometimes I just wonder, like, do I need to turn up or do I just let the Spy host the show? Desi, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I've been going off the rankings as well, much like the Spy. Yeah, I think I'm about 100 points off you. So I didn't captain Pappenhausen for his 180 or whatever it was. If I'd done that, I'd be right up there. I think I'm about 3,500 or something like that.
Lurking, mate, lurking.
Yeah,
You're being crooked, though.
I have been, but there's an inverse relationship between my health and my Supercoach ranking. So we'll take what we can get. Yeah, 13.25 or something this week with the, I did what you did, which is vice captain the high upside players. None of them had the best of matchups. And obviously with Terrell May missing Origin, I just thought to myself, he's going to have a point to prove. He's going to come out. And after captaining Haas the week before, he came off with a back complaint at halftime.
Yep,
I was a bit iffy on going Haas, so I locked in Terrell May and it paid off.
Well, honey, you blokes heroes. You got your captains right. For the Cooma Stallions, we captained Scott Drinkwater for a total of 28 points. That was after the dub up, so probably his lowest Supercoach score since about under 14s, I'd reckon, and that was when he was a 7-year-old playing up in grade.
Did he even count in your side? Like, genuine question?
Yeah, by a point.
Yeah.
1 point.
He snuck in ahead of my trade-in last week, Connor Tracy. So the Stallions, we had an absolute bludger of a week. 1,078 points, dropped to 1,460th overall. So we dropped 900 spots last week. But you know what, Spot? It's come at a good time. There's a bit of complacency in the boys. We'd had green arrows for about a month on the trot. All seemed well. Got a bit confident with that the Connor Tracy play. Still happy with it moving forward, but could not have gone worse. But just a wake-up call going into the buy period that, you know, we can't take the foot off the pedal if we're going to make a charge at the top. So
need a bit of a rev up the boys. I'm also 30 points off you, mate, so get into them at training this week because game on now.
Every time you say you're getting close to me, it backfires and you just go falling down the ranks. Spot. It happened in cricket. It happened in NRL.
I've said it the last 5 weeks and I'm still coming for you.
No.
I've cut it from about 30,000 points after Garrick to 30, so watch out.
Yeah, your captains, your Terrell May captaincy netted you about 240 points more than me last week. But look, we'll bounce back. Also with us this week, a bloke who is hurting equally as much as the Stallions, Matty the Waterboy.
Yeah, no good. Had a shocker this week. Have had a flourish of just brilliant captaincy choices and got a bit higher Mern supply for the second time this year, actually. I captained Drinkwater as well, which was horrid. But the other one was when I got higher Mern supply a few weeks ago and screwed up the captaincy loop and took out Dylan Egan. I actually haven't had Dylan Egan since. and he just keeps getting 80s. So I thought, you know what, screw it, I'm going to put him back this week. What do you know?
I nearly played him too, mate.
Yeah, well, I did play him, and he did his ACL. So, you look, not a good week. Somewhere in the 1100s, dropped about 3,000 spots. So, yeah, horrid.
Thankfully, we have the flex. And anyone who was against that or is still against it, I reckon you're dreaming. I didn't actually play in my team, fortunately, but I had about 4 people who scored 28, so it wouldn't change too much anyway because of the flex. One of the great introductions. Now, on today's show, Team List Tuesday, Supercoach pointers. Dylan Lucas is back where he belongs in the back row. Thomas Cant, he's been dealt a blow for anyone who did hold on to him, who thought they might have a starter this week. Our topic for today's show is Nuffing. What is it? Do we like it? When's the time to do it? Who are the best players? We're going to talk about Nuffs. Spy Talk, things you may have missed. You got a few things for us today. Spy, hot topics. That'll be the big one today because there are a lot of big trade options this week, both in and out. Adam Fanua-Blake, do we add him to the big boys list in 2025? And Payne Haas, is he a hold or a sell through the origin period? We're going to drop our round 12 trade and skipper plans, head into a few listener questions to wrap it up, looking at Lehigh Hopewade and whether or not he's an option over Tommy Turbo. Guys, I brought it up last week, but the SC Playbook Community Meetup, our second official get-together for the season, it's coming on Sunday, July 6th. Our community and our members of the SC Playbook contributor team will be heading to the Roosters and Tigers clash at Allianz Stadium at Moore Park. Double head of that one with the women's Roosters and Warriors clash kicking off their NRLW campaign. The legends over at Allianz Stadium, they've hooked us up with exclusive space at the American Express Garden, the stadium's premier beer garden. Unreal spot to watch footy from. Better yet, they've treated our subscribers to 50% off tickets. That link to the discount is in our WhatsApp community. If you're a subscriber but not in that WhatsApp group and you'd like to come along, flick us an email at supercoachplaybook@gmail.com. That is full word Supercoach, and I'll flick you the link there. Our regular community also get 10% off tickets. I sent a link out on our socials to that one last week, so check that one out there. But you can also email us for that one. Wanting to get as many people as we can to that footy afternoon. It's going to be an absolute cracker, so come along if you're keen to watch some footy and chat to the Supercoach community. Our Unlimited Leaguer, Jet Speed, coached by Nathan. He leads the way in first overall. We have a new leader. We currently have 15 of the top 20 ranked overall coaches. Tilly's team, coached by Jade, topped the week with 1,480 points. Guys, if you can like, subscribe, comment, rate all the good gear to help this podcast grow. Let's get into it. Team List Tuesday. Spy Jake Averillo at the Dolphins is been named at fullback, with Hamiso Tabuai-Fido out to origin duty. Herbie Farnworth stays at centre. Thought we might have been a little sniff at Herbie at fullback this week, but they have gone with Averillo. How do we think Herbie would have gone at fullback?
I'd love to see it. Obviously, very fit, strong ball carrier. But I mean, if you're an owner of Herbie, I quite like him at the left centre anyway. He still roams enough. He gets his footy. Maybe more chance to score tries on that left edge, just hitting a hard line. So either way, he's a class act.
I think he'd be in that mould of like Joey Manu and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck at fullback where he would have 1,000 runs. I don't know if it actually suits the team because I don't think he has the ball playing about him. I think he'd just be tucking it under the wing and running. I think it'd be good for Supercoach, but team-wise, I actually like the ball playing Averillo at fullback. Very good hands on him. Lipoi Hopewade, starting prop at the Bulldogs at 232K. We'll get to him a little bit later in the show. Jordan Samrani, he starts at centre for the Eels with Zach Lomax out of action. At the Panthers, shit going on everywhere. If you're as big a football nerd and a Supercoach nerd as me, you'd have been watching the NRL team list drop at 4 p.m. today. Luke Garner, who was in my trade plans, went to the Penrith team. They didn't have him in there. Went to the description to find out what was wrong with him, and they said he was in playing back row. Scrolled up, went to the 2RF, and there was a gap there next to the number 12. I'm like, all right, there's a glitch on the NRL website. What's going on here? We're sitting here with Matty, the Waterboy. We're trying to work it out. Matty goes to the Penrith Panthers website. They've got him on their team list on the site. Trying to work it out. 10 minutes later, Matty goes back to the Penrith website. Luke Garner out. We still don't know why. Don't know what's going on. Has it impacted my trade plans? Bloody oath it has. Tommy Jenkins, he's back on the wing. Jesse McLean is at centre. Isaiah Papali'i is also out of that team. Desi at the Knights. Fletcher Sharp starts at fullback. It's a halves combination of Gamble and Cogger this week. What are our thoughts on Fletcher at fullback? Do you think much will change, Supercoach-wise? What's your vibe?
I don't think so. He kind of plays that fullback role, backing up on attacking plays for the Knights anyway. They haven't had much, but he's always there when they do get through. But yeah, I think he'll probably still score about 60, 70 points just off runs and tackle busts. I'd say he'll find a line break. He just always seems to. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think he can still score really well.
Spy, Fletcher Sharp at fullback, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb to the side. What do you feel?
As an owner, I'm happy enough, excited to see how we go, obviously running the ball more. He does make a lot of tackles in the front line, so maybe he swaps tackles for runs and maybe some more attack, as Desi alluded to, but interested and excited to see how he goes.
I like it. I just think ball in hand, it's got to be a good thing. More runs, more tackle busts, all of that. We've touched on in previous shows, but he does make a ridiculous amount of tackles for a half, getting targeted there. So the base will drop a little bit, you'd imagine, but those power stats, the offloads, the tackle busts, they should hopefully rise a little bit. Kyle McCarthy, this is big as well. Starts at centre for the Knights with Bradman Best obviously out with that hamstring injury. Dylan Lucas, who shifted to centre last week, he will go back to the back row. Thomas Cant, he's off the bench. So a blow for Cant owners who thought they might have had that start in this week. But great news for Dylan Lucas, highly owned in Supercoach, to the back row. At the Roosters, Robert Toya is out due to origin duties. Mark Nwanganita Waze at centre. Dom Young, he comes in on the wing. Spy, anyone keen on Mark Nwanganita Waze this week? Would you be concerned by the centre move or nothing too much?
Not really. He'll play right centre. I prefer him on the left centre to get a lot of footy there. But he offloads and tackle busts probably a lot more at centre, makes his tackles, less chance of scoring tries would be the only thing. But I think if you're getting him in...
It's 1 week,
it's long term. You're probably not going to sell him for the rest of the season. So he's someone I've certainly got an eye on and he's in my calculations.
Yeah, if it was somewhat of a more permanent thing, he was back to centre potentially. But I said 1 week, Rob Toy, you'd imagine back in post-origin, provided he gets through that clearly. So should hopefully be all good there. Nafahu White is out. A blow for his owners there. Jesse Ramian has been named at centre. He had a cut on his eye, I believe it was, last week. Sam Stonestreet is out for 6 to 8 weeks. I think it might be Liz Frank, syndesmosis, something or other.
Something that hurt his ankle bad.
Mwene Hirote, he comes back into the side from injury. We nearly had ourselves a cheeky little Sifa Talakai play at 240k, but we do not. So Sifa will stay on the bench for the time being, and Ali Leatawa on the extended bench for the Warriors as he looks to return from injury. Now, just before we get into our Nuffing topic, I do think we'll just touch on a couple of origin period pointers. A few things, guys, for those a bit new to Supercoach or that have forgotten how this works. It has changed in recent years, the way Supercoach plays out over the origin period. It is your top 13 scorers in your squad. So if you have 17 in there, 4 will drop out and it'll take your top 13 best scorers. Generally speaking, you don't necessarily need to go bonkers with trades and numbers. If you can get around that 13 mark, you'll be pretty close to the mark there. And it also means that we basically get 2 free cracks at captains and that free vice-captaincy loophole, which we've spoken about in the past. If you're a head-to-head focused player, check your league settings because you might have buys on for each of the major buy rounds, being around 12, 15 and 18. So if that is you and you're not actually playing your head-to-head this week, you don't care about your overall rank, you can probably save for your trades this week and wait until next week. Another one, if it's a player in the extended squad with the Blues or the Maroons, such as Hamole Olakuatu, barring changes to the starting team, they'll be released from camp and available to play for their clubs this weekend. My question for you boys, and I'll start with you, Spy, across these 3 major buy-ins coming up, what's the number that you sort of aim for? Are you pretty free and easy about it? Do you try and hit 13 on the dot and have a full team? Do you like some insurance of 14 or 15 players? What's the rough goal?
Yeah, I'm aiming for 13 each week. It does get harder as we go. As it turns out, I've got 15 this week, which is super handy. It's a little bit of extra coverage there for low scores. I think in an ideal world, I'd probably take 14 into each round. But, I mean, it's all good and well having extra numbers, but that's extra trades to bring blokes in and out. So it's not always worth it just to get extra numbers in your side. It was actually interesting. We obviously talked from a viewpoint where we're chasing as high as we can, trying to win it, trying to go top 100, whatever it may be. But also thought there's plenty of people who are just having a crack for the first time or whatever. One of my mates asked, he goes, how am I looking? I've got like 10 or 11. I said, that's fine, mate. That's not a bad week. That's okay. So especially if you're reasonably new to things and you're just having a crack, that's not going to set you back too far, having 10 or 11.
Yeah. What about yourself, Desi? I know you absolutely are free and easy with the buy period. It worked for you when you won Supercoach, not reading into it too much and aiming for huge numbers. What about at the moment, mate? Are you still trying to get that 13 each week, or are you happy just to strive for the best team that you can get and numbers are a bit less relevant?
Yeah, I think you probably want to get to the 13 mark. Right now I've got 12, but that includes Cant and Valmunga, which is almost just 2 throwaway scores. So I'm probably going to have to use 2 or 3 trades at least to get to 15, which is, I'm counting is probably -2, so 13.
Yeah.
You definitely want 12, at least 11 or 12 really good scoring players who are going to get you 60 to 70 points this week, or you'll probably fall behind, I reckon.
Yeah, and you just look at who the players are. So I sort of roughly aim for that. I mean, prior to last week and sort of the injury carnage we had there, then I lost a player like Rob Toy to Origin, who I had factored into my trades. I was looking at a very comfortable sort of 15 or 16, and that wasn't planning to have that many. It was like rough planning, but it had just ended up that way. And now with injuries, like Kiraz was another one we lost for a lot of people out there. You sort of reassess, and I think anywhere from 13 to 14, I think 14 is a really good number. You get a bit of insurance like we do on a regular Supercoach week, where if inevitably a player goes low and goes sub 20, they can drop out of your score. 14 is a good number, but to your point, Spy, don't tear your team apart if you've got 11 or 12. It's just not worth it in the long run to lose a couple of points here or there. General rule of thumb that I have, and I sort of learnt from last year, when you're making trades in this period, I think it's important to do 2 things. Try and find keepers, and there's a few about this week that are available that you can bring into your team. You probably keep them for the rest of the season that have good buy period coverage. And the second one is, as always, just someone who's going to generate cash and provide a bit of coverage for you. So there might be a player who's got a low break even, they play a couple of the major buy rounds. So they give you an extra number those weeks. They'll make cash for you, rather than the in-between of those two, where you buy blokes that might be at 500k, you're going to trade them out at some point anyway, so you're trading in, you're trading out, you're not wasting a couple of trades. They might score you 40s or 50s through that period. If you have 15 players on a week, that might not count towards your score. So just a general rule of thumb there. Spy, anything else to add there, or are we good?
I was going to add something, but you absolutely bloody nailed it. Fair play.
Mate. All right, boys, topic for the show, Nuffing. Not nothing, like we've got something to talk about. We've got heaps to talk about. Nothing, we've touched on it earlier on in the year at stages, but it becomes relevant, I think, about this time of year when we get to the major buy period. Spy, I'll throw to you firstly. What is it?
What is nothing? That is trading down to someone who basically doesn't play, but the idea of it is you're maximising your cash to spend elsewhere. So you go down to someone worth like 198k. Ideally, you get someone who has dual position, so you can help with trades and flicking blokes left, right and centre throughout the year. That is enough, as opposed to someone who will actually be playing and gets on the field.
Yeah, so the key to it is people that you really do not think will play at any stage of the year, and it allows you to free up that cash to facilitate bigger trades elsewhere. And as you said, Spy, a dual position player who can allow you to move players in between different positions, which can be invaluable as well. I'll get to a few of who those options might be moving forward at the back end of this segment. Desi, it always intrigues me, this conversation, because everyone has a different opinion on nothing and when to do it and all of that. First and foremost, we know we've spoken about it in the past because you've done it recently. You've gone a little bit early on enough. You obviously like it. You're happy to go early on it. Talk through your thoughts around it.
Well, I think you could probably even get away with doing it right off the bat. Normally, I would say maybe a couple of months into the season, around about now, you get away with it. But with the flex and vice captain now, you can essentially I think you need enough off the bat, because if they're really not gonna make you pay, if you're taking a vice captaincy loop, which they're not punishing you for doing that anymore. You may as well do it as much as you can. Anytime someone scores over 100 now, you take the vice captaincy loop on them. And it would happen more often than not. I know you'd think to yourself, it's probably not going to happen that much. Back in the day, maybe where you needed about 130 for a loop to work. But it's pretty easy to get 100 out of a player now. We see it with Payne Haas doing it almost every week. So I'm a fan of always have enough in your team going forward with the way the vice captaincy's played out. Yeah,
I agree slightly, but I absolutely don't think you need enough. And the notion of not being punished for VC loophole, like that's just not true, because you look at now, teams are getting so stacked, our 17, 18s. If you want to loop, you still have to drop a very good player from your team. And look, maybe your squad's stacked enough that you can bring another gun into your team, but like you still... I don't know, I've had a couple of occasions in recent weeks where I've gone, all right, I've sort of done at the start of the round. If it eventuates that I can enough, I've had to drop like maybe a Britton Nicker or a Ruben Garrick or a good player on my side. You're still copying like the AE. I know it comes in, you get the flex. The flex has changed nothing, right? Because firstly, we have another player in our squad. So that's valuable in itself. How do you feel about Spy? I know you started with one as well.
Yep, 100% agree with Desi on this one, especially to start the season.
Have to have one?
Yeah, to start the
Why?
season, to allow the VC loop. I've already done it once this year, and I agree. I think the opportunity to do it is more and more this season.
I don't reckon I've had a week this year where I haven't had a player on the bye or injured or someone that I can use for it, and I don't have enough. Like, I get what you're saying, but I think because there is literally a team on the bye every week who you can use for that loop through the entire round, it's pretty rare that you don't have an option, like super rare.
Yep, I just want an option every week. That's why I'm happy to have one. It also maximises cash for your starting squad.
Quick side note.
Yep.
If when we get an even amount of teams in the competition and there's no team on the bye,
different discussion
then
again.
It will be an essential one every week.
Yeah.
Every year,
in saying that, obviously the people care about right now. I agree your point in that sides are getting better. So instead of dropping someone off the end of your bench who's not very good in the early rounds, you're now going to be dropping someone really good if you're doing the VC loop. I also think with buy coverage, I personally would prefer to start getting blokes. We'll talk about him at some stage shortly, but there's a certain Bulldogs front rower. He's cheap, and he could score your 50s during that buy period. And any other week, you don't have to play him. Sure, it does bring in an auto emergency where he might then go to a bench or a certain player and not score you many, but more often than not, that automatic emergency is going to drop out of your side anyway. So I'm a fan of it for one, but I don't think you necessarily need more. And in this year in particular, there's a lot of cash going around. People are generating so much cash, so we're less inclined to have to go, it's going to make a sacrifice of a really good player down to a full nuff in order to free up funds. So I don't think it's quite as necessary the way this season's going, but that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree in that sense as well. Like, we have been able to generate so much cash, so I'm with you. Like someone like a Lipoi Hopoi, apologies for pronouncing that wrong, but we'll get to him shortly again in Spy Talk. But, you know, if you can get someone who maybe they can jag you 40 points on the bye weeks and, you know, without contradicting what I said before, it's different if you're doing it to someone at 230k and they can jag your 40s on the bye weeks rather than someone at 450, 500k who you bring in, you're like, you're paying a lot of money for them.
Discussion.
Yeah, so for myself, I mean, I notoriously prefer that deeper squad, and I want every player in my squad trying to generate a bit of money or offering points coverage like Hopoi, potentially him on those major buy-ins or something like that. So I don't love the idea of nothing until about the end of the buy period, or potentially even, you know, you might get to round 17 or 18, the very back end of it where you need a gun for the final major buy week or whatever it might be, potentially then, but ideally speaking, it's a sort of around 19, 20 thing for me and just keep generating cash and having your players do something.
Oh, mate, I'll unload on a couple of nuffs come post-origin for the run home, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think the other thing to your point, whilst I'm happy to start with one, if you've got other blokes who might be lurking around still that you paid bottom dollar for to start the season, but we're playing, it could work out to be pretty handy buy coverage. If you bought them for next to nothing and they're still in your squad, then it's pretty handy in the sense that you could have someone who's just offering you zeros, or you have someone, and maybe it's Royce Hunt, right? We started the year
Royce's
with
day is
him.
coming. He's just starting out. He's ready to unleash.
You have a zero, we could get to round 18 and Royce could score 50 and you go, holy shit, that's 50 points I'll take that came out of nowhere. You're just giving yourself that opportunity. I'm not expecting that from Royce, but gives yourself the chance just to at least have a free swing at things. That's probably the other line of thinking.
So yeah, that's nothing. A few guys to consider if you are looking at doing it this week, and all of these names, just about barring the last one, who I think is probably the best option, have been lingering around extended squads, particularly this week with so many players on origin duty and injury starting to hit. The Warriors, Kalani going at hooker 2RF. Des, you end up going him, didn't you?
I did.
How you feeling,
I've been going up the rankings ever since.
Yeah, enough to good position there. I mean, for the time being. At the Roosters, Jake Elliott, his halfback, dual halfback, 5'8" at bottom dollar. At the Roosters, Ethan Roberts, his dual 2RF front row forward. He is 20th man for the Roosters this week. But again, with the full strength Roosters there, with players to come back as well, I think he's a relatively good one with that 2RF front row forward. At the Raiders, Miles Martin, dual 2RF front row forward. He's a good one there. Note, Noah Martin is making his debut for the Raiders this week. not the same person. So, yes. At the Titans, Tui Simpkins to our front row forward. He was the one that you boys both started at the start of the year. He's been lingering a bit, hasn't he, Spy, in extended squads?
He's waiting for some buy-round coverage.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Oh, we should mention as well, I don't know if I missed it, but I forget what I was going to say. I'll come back to it.
That's
Carry
right,
on.
mate. And the last on the list, who I think is arguably the best out of these options, at dual to our front row forward is Ryan Sutton at the Doggies, and the reason being that he's no longer with the club anymore. He's not in the NRL, so there's no risk of him coming up and being bench fodder that plays 10 minutes and just kills your VC loops and all these sorts of things. So, it's 30k more than the average Nuff, but as Spy alluded to before, with that cash generation happening so well this year, for the sake of 30k, having a safe Nuff to use every week, I don't mind him as a play. Did that come to you, Spy, or not?
Yeah, I might have lost the plot a little bit in the last few minutes because I get the feeling you're going to say I just said that. But just with Nuffs, obviously, if you can get someone who plays just the Origin games while half the side's out, that is even better because they'll then play those buy rounds then out the back door when everyone returns.
Well, if you can get a good little, of seasons past, 2RF, CT Dub Nuff, who can occasionally pop in and play like on the wing for a team who gets Origin decimated, or it's offered me something like Penrith in the past maybe. It's been great, but not a lot of duels among the cheapies this year, which the bottom dollar players, which has made it heaps tougher. So, yeah, anyway, that's it. Now, Spy Talk, things you may have missed. And we'll start off, Spy, with one from Cam Smith. It's a question. Can he please explain how KL Iro didn't get the assist for the Mulitalo try? He swept out the back of Burns, who bracket started inside him. Then he passed onto Mulitalo, but Trindle got it for sweeping and batting it on to Iro.
Boys, absolute contention around try assists this weekend. It's been all pretty chilled out the last month or so, then back-to-back booms. Yeah, this was a hot topic on social media. I can tell with absolute honesty, this took me so long to figure out a few years ago. I owned Cleary. He threw a cracking cutout ball this about 3 years ago. And the centre, might have been Crichton at the time, tipped onto the winger. It was 2-on-1 and the winger scored, and I had him as captain. And maybe as a pod captain, I'm like, you beauty, I'll take that. And he never got the assist, and I kept going back, like, what am I missing? Because I don't understand this. And I'm like, the only variation to anything else is that the centre didn't catch and pass, he tipped. So I've come to believe, after this Iro incident, that a tip-on overwrites everything. Forget everything I've ever taught you. If you tip on out of the air, and if you go back and watch what Trindle did, it was pretty ballsy play. It was out the back, and instead of catching and going to the line, he literally just went the tip on out the back to Iro on the sweep. Iro catches it, runs that typical sweep line, typically gets a try assist. I think tip on overrides everything.
And I'll say one thing about it, Spy. To your definitions of so many of these try assists, and more often than not, it is the player who creates the overlap. If you have to tip on and don't have time to catch and pass it, you've created the overlap.
Yeah, like, go and watch what Trindle did. It was pretty crazy. Yeah. And say what you want about it. I don't mind because I'm not making the rules, but that's just what I gather from things. So a genuine tip on like that, I believe, overrides things. That's what I'm gathering, yeah. So because I nearly bought Iro, and I was like, oh, bugger, he's got another try assist.
Yeah.
Should have got him. There's one more. Wade Egan threw a flat ball to Niokora, I believe, who crashed over, ran a little overs line. I think he was stitched up, to be honest. I don't want to create too much controversy, but in my opinion, I think Wade got stitched up. If you own him there, he took a step out and he threw just a nice flat ball. Nothing crazy creative, but it just meant he was able to go in and away on the one-on-one defender. It was actually might have been when old mate hurt his pec and shoulder. But it was my understanding from hookers that they don't get him if there's like a set wall. There wasn't a wall there. I don't know what happened there. I don't know how they've decided to do it. I could be missing something. And
so Egan has essentially isolated Niokora on whoever it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because Nikorima rushed up out the back. He chose the right option. I would love to know, though, if I'm missing something. So if anyone who does the stats, let me know. Let me know, because I can obviously give that a shout out and clarify, but I thought he was very hard done by on that one.
Few filthy Egan owners then. Spy, things you may have missed. What else you got for us this week, mate?
Just a couple this week. We got Mulitalo and KL Iro swapping a lot on the left edge there. Iro playing a bit of wing on set plays more than anything. Mulitalo beat his man to put Iro in the corner on the weekend. I think this benefits both guys because Mulatalo gets a bit of a chance to create some stuff, and Iro might get a couple of easier tries, which would be very handy for owners. And it's not all game, it's just here and there, so something I noted there.
Also, you mentioned, like, it's in attack. In attack, you want them on the wing. Like, that's where you get the easy tries. At centre, you get that base. So he's still defending there, he's still making his tackles.
Gets his base,
still having his
tries.
runs,
So laughing for Euro owners there. Ruben Garrick made his return to my side on the weekend after a lengthy period out, after we all know what happened in round 3. This is what happened while I was watching him. I was just waiting for something to happen and go, here we go, guys. Apologies. Yes, he's back in my side. 18 minutes in, he had a head clash. And I'm like, oh, he has to go off. He's going to fail his HA because he obviously probably doesn't know how to answer the questions because every time he goes off, he never comes back. Stayed on. I'm like, this is huge. This could be my season.
He has worked out that if he just refuses to leave the field, he won't have to
just
answer
stay on the
questions.
field. Good stuff, Rubes. About 10 minutes later, started carrying his elbow around. I'm like, sorry, Ruben. Sorry, mate. I shouldn't have done it. Got through that. Put up a somewhat decent score. Didn't do much for 50, but he still got his 50. And then he also got put on report. So him coming back into my side, he had almost HIA, hurt his elbow, and got put on report. So that's what we're dealing with me and Gazza. But he got through into round 12, and we'll see what he can do there.
For the sake of everyone, can you just sell him?
For mental health? No, I cannot. Sorry, guys.
What about his mental health, mate? Think about him.
Poor Gazza, yeah. I'll have a chat to him. Down at, he must live around the Northern Beach there somewhere, surely.
You'd think so.
Go have a yarn on the beach. And finally, Max Bryden. So I was chatting to my boy Maxie through WhatsApp last week, I think it was. It definitely was last week after the potty. And we have some good chats just about, what's going on in the world of rugby league. Any thoughts? He's real good just for throwing ideas at me and bouncing stuff off me. And I sent him a voice note one morning. I had a few thoughts. I'm like, Maxie, I've got a couple of things I'm onto here. Sent him through. I was sort of feeling pretty good about myself. I'm like, that's actually pretty good info, that. I'm like, I'll save that one for Spy Talk. 5 minutes later, Maxie puts it up on our contributors chat, claims that it is his own.
No. Did he?
Unbelievable.
Which bit was it?
I'd have to go back and check.
Yeah.
It was 2 points, back-to-back
Maxie.
points. No chat that it came from me. So I'll leave the great man with a right of reply. But, mate, credit where due, not in the Max household. Because normally he does it. Normally he'd do it. But I'll leave you. I'll let you reply maybe via social media, Maxie. Let us know.
Interesting. Maxie Bryden under fire.
Yeah, under fire. So we'll see what he's got. I'll like to give a man his defence.
The Tigers have hit the skids and the good bloke has just been ripped out of his soul.
And that's Spy Talk, boys.
Thanks, mate. Good stuff. Desi, we'll get to you shortly because you're catching a cold over there. That's my fault, mate. But first, guys, the federal election has been done and won. Albo got the job done. South Sydney fans rejoiced. Matty the Waterboy, I'm sure he did as well. In the lead up, there was plenty of chat from both sides about how they'd help out first home buyers. So what does this actually mean for those looking to get into the housing market for the first time? The answer is plenty. Big changes are coming and could help you get into the market a lot quicker than you'd first anticipated. Chat to Paddy and his team at Mortgage Choice SCW to find out what you're eligible for. Normally, that'd sting you $129, but mention SC Playbook when you reach out and it's completely free of charge. Flick the team a message on Instagram at mortgagechoice_SCW or give them a buzz on 02 9521 1611. Doesn't matter where in Australia you're based, make that call. All right, hot topics, and there's some hot stuff in this one this week, boys. Number one most traded in player, James Tedesco, 919K, 89 point per game average for the season, a break even of 100, scored 70 odd against the Doggies. He's in a decimated Roosters outfit this week, Desi, against a full strength just about Sharks outfit near enough. They then go into a Raiders clash, into a bye. Mate, I don't think any of us are owners of Teddy on this panel this week. People are flocking to him, rightly so. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I desperately want him in my team. But it's easier said than done. It really is. I know a lot of people out there who have Drinkwater will be, rushing him out of their team and getting Teddy in because it's almost a straight swap. But Drinky just plays too many games over the next six weeks that I just don't think you can trade him out. Pappenhausen as well. They're just two guys I just can't trade out. I know people out there would do it. I'm not going to blame people for trading Drinky to Teddy because Teddy just has that propensity to ruin your Supercoach season. He really can.
I think you got to, if you're getting Teddy in that regard, I think you got to have both. Find another way.
Yeah.
There'll be a way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be selling drinky for him either.
God, hell no.
The bloke prior to that had a 3-round average of 130 or something.
I've got Gutho as my third fullback, and he's coming off a 120 against the Broncos, which is making it extra hard for me to sell him to Teddy. It's a real tough one. But yeah, he's the obvious one. For people with Ponga, it's quite simple. But yeah, for me, it's a bit trickier, but I really do want Teddy. But he's got Sharks and Raiders, and then another bye. So it's like you could almost get away with not doing it if he just goes 80, 2 80s in a row against two pretty good teams, pretty good defensive teams. But then again, it's Teddy, and he could just dice them up anyway. He could go 130, 130. And if you don't have him in your best 13, everyone's going to captain him if you own him. And he goes 130. That's 260 points that probably you're going to need like 5 or 6 of your players to catch up that amount of points in a week like this. So it really could hurt not owning him.
Before you get it, if I were to get him this week, I don't think I am. Luke Garner has not helped the cause of going Ponga to him because it's a lot of money. I don't think I would be catting him against the Sharks. I think I'd be looking elsewhere. But to your point, Desi, like it's Teddy. He's matchup proof. He'll score well against anyone. What do you think, Spy?
I was going to say 2 things. One, I'm not going to VC him or see him if I get him.
That's madness.
Why? It's against the Sharks.
The Roosters are missing half their team.
He could still just...
Sharks are full strength.
He could still just dice them up. It's Teddy.
So you're skipping Nico against half-strength Roosters? You haven't thought about that, have you?
I probably would.
Because they're the same game.
Yeah.
So that's the issue. But what I was going to say is, to your point, you can get him round 15 if you want.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think it's something I'm going to, or I have been heavily considering it. Kept me up last night, and not in the bad way. I just kept thinking about it. I'm like, I had to go back on my phone a couple of times just to try a few options. I'm not super confident this week. He's good enough to score that ton, of course he is, but if you said to me next week, Teddy scored 60, I'm like, well, doesn't shock me at all. To Desi's point, if he does get that 130-40, though, it's a monumental blow to your side. So you're backing against that. And the Raiders game next weekend, it's at Allianz Stadium. He loves playing the Raiders. He always terrorises them. So I think part of my buy this week, which I think I'm going to do because I just want to get him in, is with a view to next week as well. Even if he can get me 65-70 against the Sharkies, I'm very confident against the Raiders, especially if it's a dry track next week and the rain clears.
Didn't he got 70 last week against the Bulldogs, and he did it in his sleep. And that's the best defensive team in the comp. It's like his floor. Teddy hasn't like really scored below 70 all year.
He just doesn't have a team around him. That's the only problem. So,
he really doesn't need it. He's averaging 90 without a team.
I'm not saying it's going to go bad, and I'm buying him. I'm just saying I just don't think you have to captain him. There's some other options.
Yeah, and I just think... Again, I'm not putting a pencil through potentially buying him this week, but the Garner out plans have changed my plans a little bit, or the news I should say. I'm sort of looking at that round 15 one. I'm hoping with 2 weeks that hopefully are a bit lower with that high break even, we can get him a bit cheaper. We'll have full squads in round, what will it be, 14 when the Roosters are on the bye, but you're still missing your gun fullback that week. Like, it's worth noting.
Yeah.
So I'm roughly thinking that round 15 one, but I mean, I'm not knocking anyone for buying this week, but, there's a big debate to it, isn't there?
And what was I going to add there? Don't know, again, carry on. Twice tonight.
You said you're a bit too fired up tonight.
I've absolutely crashed.
Too much going on.
I've mentally crashed.
Oh, that's all right, mate. Number 2. Oh, Matty, what about you, mate? James Tedesco, we know you hate the Roosters. You're a diehard Bunny supporter, but... we're trying to teach you, and you're evolving big time with your Supercoach this year. Can you take your emotions out of it? And if you can for a second, Teddy, do you just get him in or what?
Yeah, well, I'm basically in this situation, and I am planning to get him in this week. Yeah, the reason I didn't get him in weeks ago is because I actually thought he was going to get picked for the Blues, even though I didn't really want to admit it. Now he hasn't, and you could debate until the cows come home that he should have been picked. But he's not now, and I doubt he will be for the rest of the series. And now I want to get him straight in. He's too good.
But in time, let's call it a sick, twisted world where the Blues get done in the Origin opener at Suncorp.
Doubt it.
And Dylan Edwards doubt it too. But here we are. We've got to have these conversations.
Let's make it more realistic. We win by 30, but Dylan does a quad out for a month.
Yeah. Well, yeah. way more realistic. But if, like, Dylan Edwards doesn't look entirely fit, let's say we do get done and he's hobbling around. Teddy's got to be a chance for game 2, right?
Well,
I think
for sure.
They'd probably go past.
It'd be Teddy.
I think Teddy. Teddy and Paps. I think Teddy suits the game that Laurie's trying to play more than Paps. Teddy's a chance for game 2, 100%.
And that's the other thing. If you don't buy now, chance he plays game 2 for a couple of reasons, then you would be cheering a little bit.
Because then he misses round 14, 15, 18, and when's that other by 17?
17. So he basically wouldn't play for like a month. He'd be a sell. Oh, something to ponder there.
Jeez.
I might wait till round 15.
And I'm more so because Edwards has been noticeably carrying something this
100%
year.
he has.
So it's not like he's at full fitness. Maybe something happens. So,
Boys, number 2, Zach Hosking, 528k. Scored 77 last week in about 69 minutes, I think it was. A 15 break even. Corey Horsburgh missing Origin. I traded Horsburgh to Hosking Sunday last week at about 3:30 p.m. Mate, I thought Corey was a very good chance for the Maroons. Then Tommy Gilbert got injured. I'm like, all right, now Gilbert's out of the picture. I'm like, surely he's in the 17 or 18 somewhere.
yeah, right.
I'm stunned Billy didn't go with him, I'll be honest. And I do not think Billy picked his... Not that this counts for anything or matters at all. I don't think Billy's picked his strongest team. I think he's missed a beat on a few different spots. I'm surprised they went Rob Toyer there. I think that is disrespectful to Philip Sammy, who I think is an excellent footballer. He's done it before and he's just a gun.
This is for another potty, but I reckon Rob Toyer's job on Latrell when they played the other week was
That did it.
phenomenal. And I think his defence is as good as I've seen from the young centre. That's why he's done it.
I mean, I'm digressing anyway, but I was stunned Corey Horsburgh missed out in Origin. You're not Spy.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say I'm not stunned or anything. I just think anything can happen, especially with Billy. I think he's a bit of a wild card and we've seen that. So I held Corey for that reason, just to see what happened and missed out. So, yeah.
Love it as a Raiders supporter, love it as a Blues supporter, filthy about it as a former Supercoach owner of Big Red, who now looks like a nice hold, at least through this week. Number 2, though, Zach Hosking. Des, you're a bit on the fence about him pre-show. I think he's a lock.
Yeah, I'm just a bit concerned about how many people are getting him, to be frank. That's kind of making me... it's kind of making me want him more now because he, like you said, you won me over by saying the Raiders go to their edge back rows in attack more than basically any other team. And if he does go over for a try, he's probably going to get 80, 90 points, and then you're behind. You're behind if you don't have him. So yeah, I think for the price, he's a fairly good buy. I'm probably going to have to do it, as much as I don't want to because I think he's going to become overowned. And he's definitely not in my final sort of 17. But over this period, the Raiders play enough buy rounds that he's going to be good coverage up until round 18, 19, where you can probably and he'll hold his cash well as well. He's not going to go down.
He'll make cash.
Yeah, he'll make cash, and you can turn him into anyone you want post all the Origin and buy schedule. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to get him.
He's an excellent footballer who I think will continue to find attack. 2 try contributions and a try in support on the weekend. The 2 try contributions very close to being try assists themselves. But the thing is, he started the year, looked awesome. Plenty of people started with him. Then he got injured. Matty Nicholson came in, won the starting edge role. Hosking went to a middle role and played fewer minutes. That's why we've got him cheap. Spy, we spoke pre-show. You're not getting him in, but it's for a good reason, which I think is worth noting.
Really interesting scenario, and we'll talk more Origin on my new podcast, Spy at the Bar, but that's not quite coming for a few weeks yet.
Spy in a bar or spy at the bar?
Oh, I've got to change one word, I might get sued. Now, interesting scenario on Hosking.
Do you reckon Kempy's worried, Matty? Do you reckon Kempy's worried about the rise of the Spy?
Yeah, I reckon. Sitting in his chair as well.
Yeah, he's in his chair.
I actually parked in his spot as well today. I was like, I've never done it, but it was free, and I was like,
if you ever run into him, we're not related, mate.
normally one of you boys there, I was like, I'll take it. Anyway, on to Hosking. I think he's a gun. I think he's a brilliant footballer. Excellent purchase in Supercoach. The reasons I'm not able to get him by the looks are twofold. One, I've already got a bunch of numbers for this round. Bringing him in wouldn't benefit me a whole lot in that regard. Round 15, he doesn't play, and I'm short there, which means his real benefit comes around 18, which is like 6 weeks away. The The other issue is I've got Aaron Clark there, which is not an issue. He's killing it. But, I mean, that's the spot I would have had for Hosking.
Yeah.
And I've got Britton Nickera already in there. So I'm not going to sell Nickera Hosking, even though I think he's a better player. I've already got Nickera in there. So the other thing is Nickera plays 12 and round 15. So I can look at moving Nickera on. It's just aligned where I don't really need him, and I could sell Dylan Egan to him, but we'll get to trades later. There's a reason I'm not doing that. It's to free up cash.
Yeah. I think he's an excellent buy, Zach Hosking. And, Des, you said you don't see him in your 17 long term. I think he's a borderline keeper. He has the base stats on the edge. He has the attacking upside, and he's just good. And Matty Nookson's out for a long time. So not saying he definitely will be, but I think he can average 65 to 70 moving forward.
I think he will. I think he's awesome.
Yeah. Number 3, and we'll tie 2 into this. Adam Fanua-Blake onto the radar this week. 673k, 103 points on the weekend, 73 point per game average, 29 break even, up against Joe Tarpany, who we've spoken a fair bit about in recent weeks. A bit more expensive, about 50 to 60k more expensive. Desi, what are your thoughts on these two? And let's tie another one into it, and it's the 4th most sold player this week in Payne Haas at 842k. He's got a 94 point per game average, a break even of 100, Payne Haas. A bit of a niggle going into Origin, but he's believed to be okay on all reports. Firstly, hold or sell Payne Haas, and if you were, would you go to AFB or Tarpany first?
Well, prior to coming here today, I was actually keen on the Haas sell to Tops. AFB, I don't think he can keep scoring tries. Like, he scored 2 in a row. What are the odds?
How many times we said that, Desi?
Yeah.
2 years in a row, and guess what? He keeps scoring them.
Yeah. I just think the Raiders probably have a slightly better schedule than the Sharks as well. Tops, he's just looking good. He's offloading. He's getting line break assists all over the place. Can he keep it up? Well, it's tough. I just think, Tops is probably a little bit more consistent with getting like 60 to 70 points a week than Fanua-Blake, who can sometimes push out a 40. He's more like a 40 to 100 range. Versus Tops, you just know what you're going to get every week. But yeah, you've talked me into Hosking, because Hosking's, he's not going to average that much lower than Tops, and you get away with holding Haas. But I think you could probably get away with selling Payne Haas through this entire period. I think the Broncos probably rest him a little bit. Like, they're coming 9th on the ladder, so maybe he's not going to get as much of a rest as he has.
I'll just get that up
previously.
For now. Sorry to cut you off, Desi. But round 13, so post-Origin 1, the Broncos play the 3rd game, the 7:35 game on Saturday evening.
In Sydney, yeah?
In Sydney
So
at
have to travel
Brookhy.
interstate, yep.
Yep. So then after Origin 2, and keep in mind the Broncos have the bye in round 12 and 15, those 2 Origin weeks. So in that sense, it's good for their Origin players in Payne Haas, Pat Carrigan, etc. But yeah, round 16 after Origin 2, that's after Perth.
Yep.
That is at Suncorp on Sunday afternoon against the Sharks. Barring Knox, he backs up for that.
Yep.
And then what do we got? Round 19 after Origin 3, Sunday at 6:15 against the Titans. So put it this way.
Pretty good.
The Broncos need him.
Yep.
Payne Haas. And they need him to play. All right, maybe it's 5 or 6 or 7 less minutes per game, or even 10. You know you're going to want him back in. You know he can hurt you. I'm holding. Yeah. Unless we get more word around this injury concern, but it sounds very minimal to me. Spy, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking there's a bit to play out. So I don't want to do it this week, but a little bit of forward planning suggests I definitely want Kaloa-Matangi next weekend. My back row options are already pretty stacked with bye guys that I want to hold. Maybe someone has to give. Maybe it's Haas, but it's pretty nervous in doing it. I want to see how he comes through Origin, get any injury reports, and see if there's any other ways to get guys like Kaloa-Matangi. And I wanted to go Chanel Harris-Tavita up to Jaden Campbell next week, just as a bit of forward planning. But again, maybe that's just not worth doing if it's holding Haas. There's a bit to play out for mine. Let's see how it goes in Origin, how many minutes he plays. I'm a bit torn. He could be a very handy sell, because I think someone may need to be sold from Origin.
I don't think it's the be-all, end-all either way. Whether you do sell him or you don't, it's not going to be like critical to your chance of winning Supercoach overall.
He's punching out 90 to 100 for fun, though.
Yeah. He's been playing some not so great teams. He's playing
It doesn't matter, mate. It's Payne Haas.
Sharks, Warriors, Bulldogs, 5th, 2nd and 1st in a row.
Latrell
He's
and
probably not going
Gutho.
to get that many attacking stats.
Latrell and Gutho in the last 2 weeks made 1-on-1 tackles at fullback with him, which is phenomenal, by the way. He scores both of those without good defence, so he's just looking phenomenal. My gut says don't do it, which means I probably won't, but it just if it facilitates some real major upgrades for the bye period, you're going to catch up those points.
People are
pretty quickly.
looking at price and injury niggle. So, look, we're going to get news on his injury niggle going into Origin, but on all reports I've heard, it's very minor and he's good to go. If the Broncos were top 4, I'd sit there and go, all right, different story. They need wins. They're battling. So, anyway.
The next week question for me, I'm not willing to do it now.
Boys, number 10, Tom Trebojevic. We're here again. I didn't think I'd even be willing to have this conversation again until post-Origin period, but all of a sudden, you've got Tom Trebojevic at 552k, 52-point average for the season, 18 points on the weekend in a winning Manly team, a break-even of 119. As it stands, he plays all 3 Origin games. Desi, he's in your team name. He was in it when you won it. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking if he drops below 500k, I'll get him, which might be this week. It actually wouldn't surprise me if Turbo came out and started slapping up decent scores. So I don't knock the buy that much. But it's kind of in a position where you want Teddy, Paps, and Drinky. Those are the 3 guys you want over this period. I just don't see space for Turbo when those 3 guys are all tearing it up.
Yeah, any other position I'd be willing to have a swing, but you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, if he goes to 490k and he cracks out like 100 this week and he looks like Turbo of old, then yeah, things change. But for the moment, he just doesn't look like he's got that explosiveness. He didn't bust any tackles. And yeah, you need him busting tackles if you want to buy Turbo. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, except he's at 550k, which is the only interesting factor in it. Talk us through your thoughts, Spy.
My thoughts are that there's no room for him. That's half the issue. If I had a vacant flex spot, then I'd consider it more because the thing about Turbo is at 550k playing those major buys, he can get himself to 70 or 80 without really doing anything. Just tip on plays, getting himself in good positions.
He'll bank try assists just with his ball playing alone.
And he'll just back up through the middle and score easy ones anyway. He would have on the weekend. He just dropped it. But I mean, he's clearly not healthy. I'd love to know what he's actually carrying because often if someone's coming back from something, you know what he's carrying. And our mate Physio, NRL Physio, might be able to say, mate, he's only going to get better based on that information week to week. But
God, I hope Fizz doesn't say that because it's just going to trade my trade plans entirely.
But I just think no one actually knows what he's got. I mean, I guess he's strapped up, so Fizz might be able to figure it out. But I've just seen nothing to suggest he's going to kill it. In saying that, he's 400k cheaper than Teddy. And he plays all the buys. And he plays Para. And then the Titans in round 15 and then South round 18. Like, oh my goodness. The star.
Oh, you missed out round 17, mate, conveniently. Who have they got there?
Oh, the Tigers. Well, I meant the major bye weeks, though.
Yeah.
Oh, but geez, he looks poor, though. Just physically.
He looks so poor.
He looks busted.
I know. And I'm just like, but there's 2 things this, right? There's 3 things. First, if he does start to kill it and knocks out back-to-back tons, cool, you'd probably take it. But it also means he's probably playing Origin
I was going to say that, but not if the boys win.
Not if the boys win.
If the boys win well, they're not going to.
I'm also taking into it that Zach Lomax has come back from injury. Brian Toto's coming back from injury. Stephen Crichton's under an injury cloud.
Yeah.
Dylan Edwards is under an injury
Won't take
cloud.
much.
So it's not going to take much. Like if he plays well and gets back to anything near full fitness, he's bloody close to that Origin team, as we know again. There's a world spy where at his price, you know, maybe you go Ponga to him this week for Parramatta. Broncos coming off Origin, that's at Brookie into the Knights round 14. And then if he is around for round 15 and going,
Make a call then.
happy days, make the Teddy call then.
Have a throwaway look. I know there is.
But the other thing is, we're just going to get him back in. He's going to get injured again.
He could last 10 minutes.
That's my concern. Anyway.
Based on no past experience at all.
Oh, jeez. I know. Boys, most sold players this week. Rob Toya is the other one I wanted to touch on at 541k. He's got a 58 point per game average, a negative 19 break even. He still has that 148, I think it was, and he's rolling average for another week. I can see why you'd go this week, but he plays next week, takes the field, scores his 50 or 60 odd, makes another 60K. If he's your only way to, you know, a Herbie Farnworth or whoever you might be getting, I get it, Desi, but very easy cash from him by holding one more week, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, if I really wanted Farnworth and he was my only way to get there, like you said, if he's the only avenue, then you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, negative 19 break even. It's a very tough sell. But yeah, if you need the numbers, I can't knock people doing it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, a 66 is projected to see him rise $68,000 when he takes the field next week. You know, provided he gets there, but what are you thinking, Spy?
Well, the other thing is with Toya, we have no idea what's going to unfold next Wednesday in Origin. He's no guarantee for game 2 and 3. He's back at the Roosters. If he continues to go well on the back of that 148 and then obviously 48, but
Coverage.
Plays around 15, 16, 18. Like, they're 2 major bye weeks. You might want to hold on to him. But yeah, in saying that, it's not like he's killed most weeks. He doesn't get a whole heap of footy. He just had that breakout game. So if you desperately need to sell him, I get it, but I wouldn't rush into it.
To your point, though, yeah, if you can get through Origin, if he has a stinker, Queensland get done. I don't know how long Murray Taulungi's out for.
Not sure what the story is, but yeah.
Yeah, we could have him as a number. So if you can wait a week, I think wait a week for a number of reasons. Boys, trade plans for Supercoach round 12. What are you looking at, Spike?
At this stage, we have Dylan Egan down to Hopoi, I believe you pronounce it, for the Doggies. Starting at the front row, worth 232K. Scored 49 in basically base last weekend in 40-odd minutes. The reason I'm doing that is just to facilitate what I want to do in the coming weeks. My other trades will be Jacob Kiraz to KL Iro. It's a no-brainer for me. I wanted Iro regardless. So.
Over Herbie?
Yeah, over Herbie.
What's the thought process there?
Not much. There's not much between them.
There's not.
But
There's very little.
I think, as Desi would say, a lot of people are getting Herbie. Iro is due like a 130 where he just scores 2 or 3. Scoring every week. Why can't he score more? And of course, he could score nothing, but he'll get 50-odd. Plays rounds 12 and 15 from memory. Herbie might miss 15. So maybe I can then upgrade Iro after round 15. It's just a buy sequencing. But I just love Iro. Sharks have got some good matchup. Full strength side for the Sharks as well. I love that. Versus depleted Roosters.
There's a bit of that insurance out about those two, isn't there? Same position, left centre, same price, same base, same try scoring spree. Yet there's no difference between them. It's damn hard to.
Not much between
both got the same similar buy coverage, 2 major buy rounds. There's so little between them.
Yeah, so I'm going Iro.
Iro's the pod also.
That's the pod factor. And that allows me to go Ponga straight to Tedesco. So that's where I'm at the moment. As I've mentioned before, I've got an eye on definitely Kaloa Matangi next week, who just appears an absolute must after the weekend. So don't forget that in your planning. And then to facilitate round 15 upgrades, which I don't necessarily need. That money could come in handy, but blokes like Hosking, Tarpany, I'm not super keen on missing out on them, but I think just the way it's landed, I might need to. So the big question will be around James Tedesco. Am I getting him this week or round 15? That's really my big one. Big call.
Very good. Desi?
Boys, I will be going Hubner to Hosking, and I'm going to be bypassing both Iro and Farnworth. Because I think their try-scoring runs have to come to an end at some point. Touch wood. But I'm going for someone who I think is about to go on a try-scoring run of their own. On Manly's left wing, it's my boy Lehigh Hopewade. I think Manly are going to start going left over this period. They did last year. They did last game. He could have had a hat-trick. He was, a couple of turbo passes away. Like we said, Turbo's going to ship it on. He was very close to going 150 last week. People wouldn't know how close he was unless they were watching him closely. But yeah, he got 90 points with 1 try. And if Turbo goes into Origin, he plays fullback where he averages about 80.
That's
so
huge.
I think if you want to call Iro a pod, this guy's a super pod.
I've got a little note on Lehigh as well in my planned trades, mate. I want to have a little look at him myself. But left wing is, just the Luke Brooks factor always worries me, but Turbo's there.
Yeah, and we've spoken about that before. Yeah, I'm not, it's tough. Like, there's upside there, but Turbo's probably not at his. Well, he's not his best. We know that. Are you thinking they go left more just with DCE out for those 3 major bye weeks?
Yeah, exactly.
As you said, Spide, Lukey Brooks doesn't love dishing it out wide, but is that different with Tommy Turbo sweeping?
Oh, man, it helps because he can just give pretty basic ball.
Doesn't have to do much.
Yeah.
All right, I like it, Desi. Bit of a pod play.
That's it. That gets me to 14, I believe.
Nice.
14 numbers. So.
I'm at, I think, 12 pre-buys. Kiraz to Dylan Lucas. I thought about getting tricky there and trying to do stuff. I'm like, you're just outthinking the player that you want, the dual position there. We've spoken about him time and time again. You never wish injury upon a player, but when he didn't finish that game, had that shoulder concern the last few minutes, I was like, just miss 1 week, this major bye week, and I can potentially pot you for a few more weeks. Then I had that decision when he was at centre as well, and now he's back in the back row. So would you agree there, Spy? Just don't overthink, get him in.
On that one, on who was that, sorry? I finally got his name. I was just sorting something out in my notes.
Your boy, Dylan Lucas.
Boy, Lucas, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
It's gone.
So Kyrgios Tim actually banks me about an extra 100K, which is lovely. And then still a bit to work out. As I said, the Garner news has rattled me, which we were basically live to wear after those teams. So I was hoping to do that, which was going to give me a busload of cash to play with. But the other one, looking at like a Dylan Egan to someone like Herbie, I could go KL Iro, which is slightly more affordable, albeit not a lot. So a few options there, but hopefully I'm only making 2 trades this week, get to that sort of 14 mark. The players I've got in my team are relatively strong. There's no duds as such outside of, I've got like Riley Smith, Billy Smith, Tom Jenkins, but they're all big minute players, 80-minute players. So kind of,
had to get one
have
in.
a go at me, but not
had
Connor.
to get one in.
Yeah.
He'll bounce back for you.
Jeez, I need Connor to ton up this week. And then, Matty, what are your trades and skippers?
It's I'm all over the place really. Definitely Egan out, Hosking in. That's a simple one. I think everyone's getting Farnworth and Iro, but I'm actually going to go for Ronaldo Mortalo.
Ooh,
because this is my thinking. I know that he's dropped a heap of cash this year, and I think I know why. Because I reckon he's been in the Sharks' top 2 or 3 players all year, but he just refused to score tries at the start of the year for whatever reason. This Origin period, the Sharks are just bubbling along. They've found something, and I reckon he's going to find the try line a lot more. So he's very cheap at the moment.
One try in the first 7 rounds.
Ridiculous.
For him, and he started finding it since.
Ridiculous. Yep. Like he got. I know this isn't a punting podcast, but he used to be like $1.70 to score, and he got out to like $2.20 in some games. So I think I'm going to go him.
I like that.
That leaves me with a ton of cash, so that's pretty good. I can afford Farnworth and Iro easy, but I think I'm just going to go with Ronaldo. Yeah,
I don't mind at all. And as we said, like as good as Herbie and Iro are, tons of tries coming their way. Iro scored in every game this season, and Herbie's about 5 on the trot. So fair enough. Skippers, Matty?
Probably Nico Hines.
Yep.
Yeah. Haven't thought about it. I haven't got the draw in front of me, but someone before that game.
Spy, Skips?
Yeah, VC and Nico Hines. This is such a buy period move, but into my safety net of Aaron Clark. If Hines doesn't go bad, it's just Sunday night. He's playing 70 minutes. Barnett's out. He's so good, boys. I watched him really close. He nearly scored one on the weekend. I'm hoping and expecting to take Hines because we probably didn't ask the other question. What do you take on the VC this weekend? Because it's a free loop, which means for those who don't know, because we have heaps of players on the bye, you're chasing less upside because a lot of the Origin players are out. If Nico gets 82, I'll just take it. Like it'll be locked in. So around that 80 mark. Would you agree? We chase higher, lower?
85 to 90. Yeah, 90-ish I'm taking.
I'd take 75.
If you asked me 2 weeks ago off the back of Pappy's 180, I probably would have said 100 plus. If you ask me now after Scott Drinkwater's 14, I'm probably taking 80 plus.
Yeah. And obviously that will change some weeks. If Teddy in round 15, for example, has a cracking matchup, 80 might not be enough.
Of course,
in this weekend, I'm just happy to take 80. So I'm expecting to take Hines, but probably Aaron Clark Sunday night if needed. Could also look at maybe a VC Garrick into Hines as well, potentially. So a bit to play out there.
Desi?
Yeah, I'll VC one of my Manly boys, which will be Lehigh, Ola, or Garrick. I reckon Ola's a good shout for a VC.
Forgot about Ola.
He's due for a massive game. He hasn't scored in God knows how long. He's still busting tackles, breaking the line. I don't know. He hasn't had the luck go his way. I brought him in last week. I haven't owned him all year, but I've been watching him like a hawk because that's what you do to players you don't own. But yeah, I think he's probably due a big game.
Yep.
And then Sion Hines. Yeah.
Nice. I'm definitely Sion Hines. And, you know, when you talk about that sort of 80 point mark being more than acceptable probably this week, where there's not a lot of gun matchups, I wouldn't say. I'm confident in Nico in that game against the Roosters. I think they'll spank him in that one. Just they got so many out the Roosters. Sharky's near enough full strength. VC, it does make it a little bit interesting. I might even go towards someone like a Fletcher Sharp at fullback. Ponga out, he'll be in everything for them. So I actually don't mind a sneaky little play that I don't think too many will go for. But yeah, it's probably what we're looking at. All right, boys, a few questions, then we'll wrap it up for this week. And the first one from Mr. Curley. I'm putting you boys on the spot here, but Spy, thoughts on players scoring Supercoach points in Origin games to go towards our weekly scores?
No. It's cool. It's super cool. But
great conversation.
So complicated. And then straight off the bat, like blokes come on and played 10 minutes. Their prices plummet. Their average drops. It just ruins it. Maybe you could do only players that play more than 50 minutes.
Imagine having Hudson Young at 800k, then he plays 15 minutes off the bench and he...
Maybe you could opt not to have them active. NA, don't drop his score. But yeah, mate, the obvious answer is Supercoach Origin.
They used to have it.
Over a 3-game series, that would be the best. Sangster, what are you doing, man? Get on it.
So much fun. They used to do it, you know.
I barely remember it.
It was years ago, yeah.
But that would be so cool.
Desi?
Although I don't need more pressure during Origin.
Yeah. No, just bring back Supercoach Origin. We don't need any of that, Mr. Curley.
Yeah, that is a curly one for Mr. Curley.
Good. But in saying that, do you need it during Origin? You're already just so invested. It's like,
yeah,
that's all
probably
you need.
not.
Maybe it's all you need.
Yeah, it opens the world's biggest can of worms, but fun to consider anyway.
I like where your head's
at. Next question from one of you, Spy, from Nicky Littlewood. Do you have to have a player in every position this week with the 13 players, or is it just your best available 13?
You have to have... They have to be either in your starting side or named as a reserve to count. You will get one automatic emoji outside of that. But
that's the mistake I made last year.
Yeah.
So I didn't click any of my reserves because I just didn't think you had to. So make sure you
pick
do
it
that.
as per your normal side. Guys not named in your side on the extended bench won't count outside of 1 AE. Still the exact same, if that makes sense, but you still need to click the reserve
Essentially,
item in
if
there.
you did have 7 active players at CT Dub and then you had 6 active players at 2RF and you could only bench 4 of them, that's where
you might end up short.
It's not going to happen.
You'll find it,
you'll
just be okay, but in theory, yeah, if you had, there'd be some scenario where it wouldn't work for you, but you should be sweet. Just get the reserve
I don't have
on
any
them.
front rollers playing this week, for example. I don't have any fullbacks playing this week either. Like, you'll be okay.
Yep, it'll be fine. Get your reserves on and you're sweet.
Next question coming in from, who have we got here? One from Theo. Would you go Olakuatu, Desi, a buy over Adam Fanua Blake?
Yeah, I would. Like I said, I think he's due. Out of anyone in the comp right now, out of any attacking Supercoach relevant second row forward, I think he's on a huge try drought. So yeah, I think so.
I'd take Fanua Blake just because he can't play Origin. That just splits him for me.
I think I'll go Olakuatu. There's not much in it, and it's a good point you make, Spy. I think whichever one you buy in, you keep him for the season anyway, in that sense. So
I prefer Fanua Blake regardless, actually.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
not by heaps,
There's
just
very
just a
little in it. Next one, Spy from Suckett. Is Herbie Farnworth a season-long keeper?
Yep. Get him in now and you hold him.
Yeah, locked
If you're
as.
getting him.
Desi, one from Frankie, but news around Greg Margie this week. Is Margie a hold if you still own him? Sounds like potentially only 2 more weeks after initially being a lot longer.
Yeah.
Hold?
Yeah, I think so. If it's only 2 weeks, you can hold him.
Spy, Byron Lloyd, AJ Brimson, is he a hold to see if he plays fullback until Kinney is back? He looks so good at fullback, doesn't he? And with Kieran Foran back at 5'8", possibly stays at fullback. Would you cut ties with Brimo, who's obviously on the bye this week, or would you look to hold him and see how he goes at fullback for a bit longer?
He plays the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds, including a major bye and a tough round 16. Just a reminder, that is a tough round. Look ahead with your trades there. I actually listened to this game on ABC Grandstand. Sunday Arvo. It was awesome, and I built cubbies with the young fella. It was so good. It doesn't help Supercoach because I wasn't watching little things visually, but train's really hard to answer. But I think if he's back at fullback now, you're not rushing to get him out this week. Definitely not. Hold, see what happens, and it could be a very handy number through 15-16.
Desi, one from Dylan L. Turk. He's Matty Burton to go. He plays all the major buys. He's well priced. Is it Birdo time?
Well, what did he get? He got about 75 last week with a try and a line break. To put it into perspective, so he's getting about 40 without the try. It's a bit iffy. Who do they have? They've got Dolphins bye, Para, Souths bye. It's
a good draw.
It's a good draw.
Plays 3 major buys.
I can see why you'd do it. Yeah, he's got attacking upside to him. He can score 120, 130. What did he get last year? 147. So yeah, the upside's there. The Bulldogs are playing well. I can't knock it.
Tell you what, that might give me an idea to keep Payne Haas. Instead of getting Jaden Campbell for Chanel Harris-Tavita, Matty Burton.
Little Birdo play.
Plays 15 and 18. And noticeably this year, this belongs in things you may have missed by talk, but he's just running the footy and backing up, and he's just so run heavy, which is exactly what you want. And he's letting Sexton and Bailey Haywood run the show a bit more.
Just 70 with the line break try put you off a little bit there?
No, this is a buy period purchase. It's not like someone you're getting for the season. It's someone who plays 15 and 18 and 12, which is huge. And he got the kicking back last weekend with Crichton's niggle. Whether he holds that, I don't know. But obviously during Origin, he's kicking. So I think at the price, I don't mind it, eh? Don't expect the world from him, but he could have some decent scores.
Yep.
Boys, last one from Jack Morgan Bennett. He's a name that crops up plenty at this time of season. Is Dane Gagai a decent pod to bring in for Rob Toyer? You can get him at 564K, playing good footy. He scored 1 try all season, a base of 37. He gets through enormous work. What do you reckon, Spy? How's the draw?
Yeah, well, how old is he? About 68?
It doesn't matter.
I know.
Same
but
combo
at some
every year.
stage... At some stage, he's going to slow down, and maybe it's now because the Knights are struggling. He's not busting tackles like he used to. That's purely from watching them. I'm not sure if that reflects on the stats.
He is busting tackles. He's just not. He's not scoring tries.
But his maybe explosiveness after that, he doesn't. I wonder if Father Time has caught him just a little bit. That's my concern around Gago. I think he'll be a reasonable buy for you, and he'll do a job. But I guess he's cheaper now. So, again, he's a buy round. He could do a job. He plays the buys. I don't hate it, but I just would temper expectations.
He potentially falls in that category I was speaking about before of he'll come in, do a job for you, but he's probably not a season keeper. There's player, unless the Knights click into gear and find their attack all of a sudden, you probably trade him out at some point. So, don't mind it.
Just the last couple of weeks.
You're a little bit more interested, Desi?
Yeah, I actually had a look at Gagai on the way here. And yeah, he's still busting tackles. Like every game, he's kind of has over 5 or 6 tackle busts. He's still in the double figures each game for points accumulated in tackle busts. So it's still there. It's just the tries haven't been there. He's got a couple of assists, just 1 try through 8 or 9 games, which is, very down on what you want from a centre. But yeah, who knows? With Fletcher Sharp at fullback, he might get him some ball. Yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. I don't mind it, though. I think he's got the possibility of going 100+ if he gets over.
I don't mind it, just having a look at it, but I just think there's some real quality options in the centre wing, which is why it's not for me. I think there's so many good options.
Yeah. Right, guys, that will do us for tonight's show. Ahead of that first major buy and Spy. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, fellas.
Desi.
Boys.
Right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a great week.